Alright guys, it's Shalom with the Paradox Gaming Network, and today I'm going to be doing a Ashes of Creation development update. I got a little bit of development news, some answers that may help you out with how you're feeling about everything, and then we got a huge bombshell earlier this week on castles, and since I'm doing one video, I'm going to loop those in together so you get a little bit of bad news, a little bit of good news, all in one thing. So this is going to be a news update video. And before I flip slides, I am going to invoke a little bit of educational, academic, non-attribution. A couple of times in the video, I am going to reference sound bites from Intrepid staff. I don't want anybody to think that I'm slamming an individual as a person. I'm not slamming their job performance. I'm not slamming their competence. What I am doing is I'm taking a controversial statement and how it fit in at a certain time and how it is kind of making the community feel about a couple of things. With that said, I want to remind you guys I am an official content creator for Ashes of Creation, but I don't work for Intrepid. I work for you guys. When you guys have questions or comments, concerns, complaints, I take those in. I investigate them. I try to get you the answers you want. Sometimes I ask you guys questions, and the question I have asked lately is, why are people so pissed off? And what I've been getting back from people is the biggest one is people are afraid the MMORPG is going to be delayed. We are still operating under that before 2020 expectation. But as this video is going to show you, expectations at Intrepid have been getting shifted and shuffled, and there's not really a clear roadmap anymore. Some people feel cheated. They were told that not only you're going to be able to play APOC in December, but Alpha 1 backers are going to be able to test Castle Siege end of December. Everyone would have it 30 days later. We're now in February. Nobody's had Castle Sieges. So this is bringing up concerns about missed deadlines. And then we're starting to get that feel of it's a scam or a cash grab. Now, there's nothing I can do to alleviate that. In fact, the evidence is kind of piling up, unfortunately, about that. The $20 reskins of the APOC skins being in the cash shop in Apocalypse, Steven is aware of it. He was there on my show when that was the talking point. He will get back to me eventually. I do have to give him credit for this. Anytime he has said that he has to get back to me, he's always gotten back to me, be it weeks or months later. And unfortunately, they did say previously the cash shop items, once they're gone, they're gone. They said they wouldn't rotate the cash shop in January until everyone had their account fixed. But the accounts didn't get fixed. Not everybody got to buy them. And then Margaret said, oh, well, people will make special exemptions. Well, then that seems kind of weird because you said you'd never do that, but now you're going to do that. And the big thing is there doesn't feel like there's any new news. There's a lot of talking, but there's very little substance. Now, this is one point that I want to make sure that nobody confuses this. I want to make sure to give props to Margaret and Lieutenant Toast. The Zendesk has been updated with like 34 or more new articles by Toast. Margaret did do the Discord frequently asked questions. Now, not every question asked got answered. And yeah, there was that whole, you'll have it next week, but it didn't quite get next week. It kind of got kicked down the road a little bit, but we did get them. Now, for delivery, absolutely, they delivered. What they delivered, there wasn't a lot of new stuff in there. People who've been around for 2 years pretty much knew all the answers. What I really want to get into today, though, is I want to get into one line of this December 25th statement, and that is we will open the servers again for focus stress testing on the weekend of the 11th of January 2019, and will provide access during each weekend thereafter. That is an expectation. Intrepid said this is the expectation. Now, why has this become such a hotbed? Why is this like a powder keg waiting to blow? On the 30th of January, I was in chat and somebody asked, are we testing this weekend? I said, no, this weekend's was already canceled. There's a little bit of thing from Toast underneath you can't see. Boom, there it is. There's what Toast said. I have confirmed that we will not be doing an Apocalypse test this weekend. As Margaret mentioned, we'd like to let you know at least a week out. Now, I'm going to talk about that week out thing a little bit later. A week out is ridiculous. It's way too much time. I think it's an unrealistic expectation for us as players to think we're going to get. I think it's an unrealistic expectation for Intrepid to think that they can deliver. But before we get to that, my big problem came with this weekend was not canceled. It's just that we're not doing a test this weekend. There's a difference. Haha. Okay, that right there is bad public relations and it's bad community relations, and I'm going to show you why. Steven is the boss. He is the creative director. Beyond that, he is the CEO. He is the top of the food chain. He is the desk at which the buck stops. There is no higher authority. He said each weekend thereafter. The new community marketing liaison comes in and says this weekend's was not canceled. These two statements cannot simultaneously exist because the word cancel literally means decide or announce that a planned event will not take place. So yes, the weekend test that didn't happen was canceled. This kind of reared its ugly head again when Sabang and I were talking with some people, and we said, in truth, people are stuck in the mindset that there's going to be testing each weekend because that is what was said was going to happen. Although they did say that, Margaret did say we were going to get a week's notice, I said a formal press release or announcement that officially states what the new expectation is probably necessary at this point. Sabang kind of agreed. Margaret disagreed. She says, we've been pretty good about communication and letting people know in advance. That's not my point. My point of you letting us know when there's a test doesn't change the fact that the expectation is that there's supposed to be a test. This took me about 5 minutes to write up. I wrote it up on Dummy on Reddit in response. 2 February 2019. Put a date on it. If it's dated, it is the most recent and most relevant fact. Due to the number of issues that have cropped up with testing, we're not going to be able to continue testing on each weekend as previously stated. I've acknowledged that a previous expectation existed. I've now deleted that previous expectation. But I got to do more. In my demo, I say, here's why. We're going to focus on fixing all these problems. In order to do this, we're going to focus on fixing the issues and not racing through builds in each week to get you, a playable version. Intrepid started off as this great revision of the MMO genre. They wanted to have full transparency. It is a double-edged sword, but a little bit of education is also required with transparency. Previous testers, people with a lot of testing experience, a community that's full of other game developers, software developers, programmers, coders, they know why development is fluid. The rest of the community doesn't know. The rest of the community doesn't know that it is a time-consuming process to take the parts and make it the sum and make it playable. And then what you do is, what is your new expectation? As it stands now, we are aiming for what? What are you aiming for? Every other week, every third week? Just tell us what the new expectation is. However, here's your get out of jail free card. As this is still beta testing, the schedule will remain subject to change. Yeah, we can tell you there's going to be testing this weekend, but it's subject to change. And as long as you say that, as long as you set that as the expectation, then people like me can, white knight it up for you and be like, look, what are you complaining about? Yeah, it sucks, but Intrepid said. And then we will post on Twitter and the official Discord no later than Wednesday at 1700 the status of testing. Asking for it a week in advance, I consider that the start of the business week, so Monday. Asking for it 7 days in advance, that's just ridiculous. I mean, you expect them to know this Thursday if we're going to be testing next Thursday? I mean, what if something breaks? And then whichever representative other than Steven. Why not from Steven? Well, Toast is the community manager. She should tell us X. If X is wrong, then Toast's boss, Margaret, can come in and tell us Y. If Y is wrong, then the CEO or creative director, whichever hat he wants to wear, can come in and tell us Z. If the message comes from Z, there's no higher authority. If it comes from Steven, there's no higher authority. So I don't want you guys to think that this is all negative, me just ragging on Intrepid. Why did I do this video? Because I got the missing piece today. Steven came in today like he always does. He hangs out on his own Discord. APOC revealed architectural issues that would have been revealed later. Yes, and guys, when would these issues have been revealed? In Alpha 1 of the MMORPG. When you would have gotten your steak dinner from the kitchen that you've been waiting for 45 minutes, and then they got to take it back because, sir, we have to take your steak back. Unfortunately, some glass broke in the kitchen, and we think there might be glass in your steak. We're going to take it back. We're going to remake it for you. People would be pissed. And yes, that example really did happen in my life. APOC was there to find architectural and server issues. This is a fact. Even I cannot pull the first part of this statement apart and find any falsehood in it. It is 100% true. They did APOC to start engineering testing. And while development is split into different departments, engineering, design, and art, this is true. The engineers are struggling with the Battle Royale. That's fine. The designers are still designing node system, caravan system, PvP, castle sieges, all those things we want. and the art team is still making art. Matt doesn't have the entire art team leaning over the balcony, staring at Jeff's desk. Hey, Jeff, we're not designing another thing until you get this running right. Nah, they're at their desks. Bacon is making castles. The rest of the guys are making weapons, art, effects, animations. All those things are still going on. Some of these issues needed rebuilding from the ground up. Key point. Let's come back to it. I will go into more detail on our plans in the director's letter, which I plan to have done within the next couple of weeks. But I am waiting on a few definitive answers first. I love this. 2 parts here. Number 1, need rebuilding from the ground up. If I'm building a house and I pour the foundation and the next day I show up and I want to start framing the house and one of the walls of the foundation is cracked, I send all the carpenters to another project while I fix the wall of the foundation. You don't build on a broken foundation. This is a key piece. If they're having to rebuild from the ground up, it means something was broken. The other piece, but I'm waiting on a few definitive answers. I think Steven got burned by his previous web developer. The guy completely jacked up the entire project, thought he was Michelangelo painting the Sistine Chapel. Turns out he was a kindergarten teacher teaching finger painting. Steven needs to now trust but verify. Hey, you think you can do X? Cool. I'm not going to run with it. I'm going to sit down for a minute. I'm going to deliberate. We're going to be slow. Slow is smooth. Smooth is fast. Last Thursday was a preliminary test of that new architecture. Great. And I'm going to grade you on it. Needs polishing, but 200 players and much more should be possible. Should be possible. Must be possible. Castle sieges are supposed to be 500 versus 500. Node sieges could be in the thousands. I'm going to give Steven a break here. He has admitted previously he's not good at PR. What I envision he means from this statement is 200 players and much more should be possible with our current status, and we're still working on it. I'm going to give him that. I'm going to give him that benefit of the doubt. Steven, if I'm wrong and you're watching this, leave a comment below. Tell me I was wrong. But I'm going to give you that benefit of the doubt. You and I have known each other now for a couple of years. So how do I grade it? I got to grade it. I'm a teacher. You gave me a product. I got to put a grade on it. If Thursday's performance was the result of 4.5 more months of development from the product we got in September, so you had all those months prior to September, you gave us a product, and now you've kept going, then I got to give you a giant F. You failed the project. It's an F. If Thursday's performance was the result of going back and rebuilding, you went back and you rebuilt from the ground up. You had to rip out some broken parts. And now we're just testing that for the first time. I'm going to give you a strong C+, weak B-. What this is I think this is, the kid came in with his first draft of his book report. The teacher marks it all up, gives it back. The kid comes back with a second draft, and the teacher's like, all right, second draft, it looks good. It's not good enough. Quests are still broken, loading in issues, bugs, errors, mistakes, all those things. What I will say is if we got Thursday's build all the way back in September, and that was the first thing we saw of Battle Royale, A+ out of the box. Because, then I would know they have 4.5 months of building on top of that. So I think that now that we know parts of it have been rebuilt from the ground up, not just patches, not just tweaks, not just hot fixes, I am way more comfortable today than I was this morning when I first got up. All right, guys, so I don't want you to think that the whole video today was all just sadness or me slamming on Intrepid, being morose. I really want to give you guys the castle tidbits and the huge bombshell we got this week. Now, as we do on the Discord almost all the time, is we're sitting there and we're getting into the weeds of a topic. And we're talking about castles and their regions and their influence. And Toast was there, and I love the fact that Toast jumped into the community, and she'll make little notes that I'm here with the notebook and the pen. Teach me, guys. And we're asking questions. And we said, do castles influence the region around them or just the 3 nodes? And, Steven just pops in. Jalan, the region around him. Whoa. Hi, Steven. All right. But now you got to help us. What does that mean? Now, I do want to give a huge shout out to Ruby for this question, and I owe Ruby a big thanks. Ruby found a soundbite that I'd been looking for. I was just looking in the wrong places. So thank you, Ruby, for that. Which parts of the node system are they excluded from? The 3 nodes attached to the castle aren't real nodes. They're castle nodes. Many systems, citizenship, zones of influence, freehold system, government, societies. So we know that those don't function as normal nodes. Now, you're going to see a lot of the questions I asked. I don't want to steal anybody's thunder. I didn't want to steal their questions. A couple of them I did because they were really key to this. But I did say, yeah, I remember no freeholds on those nodes. Steven says, John, correct. Why did I ask that specifically? Because I knew it was going to come up, and now we have the soundbite. Now, Steven starts talking about a couple of things. And I want to talk about this first, and then I'm going to talk into where we got this. Castles have static boundaries. Nodes are flexible and fluid. Yes, the castle region boundaries are static. Now, you're going to notice on the timestamps that these are going to come in after we got another piece. I did it backwards because here's the bombshell. Node taxes apply to the node itself and the freeholds. Castles impose a tax on all revenues for the nodes within its region, a predetermined geographical set of the map. A castle will collect taxes on all nodes within its region. A castle's region is 1/5 of the game world. What? The Discord exploded. Now I had to ask the question, are you confusing metros and castles? Maybe he's talking castles and his brain is pulling out metro information. And I love this. I love his answer. It's amazing. Nope. Wow. Bombshell. The map is divided out into 5 regions that are governed by a castle. And then all the nodes in there are under that regional authority of the castle. That is a game changer. That literally changes the game and the nature and the makeup. A little while later, castle, and you'll notice 7:30 at night, Steven came back because we were having the conversation still. Castles and economic regions are static and more closely defined by geographical points of interest. Castle regions are larger and encompass multiple economic regions, whereas a node's zone of influence is fluid and changes its area based on the progression of the node itself and the progression of its neighboring nodes. Everything we kind of knew about the map has been thrown out. Steven, we need nodes 3. We absolutely need it now. There's a lot we don't know. In fact, with these announcements, we don't even know what we don't know. And that is it for today, guys. I wanted to get that notice from Steven out that APOC is delayed because they're building stuff up from the ground up. I did want to talk about why it seemed like the community is a powder keg and why certain things don't line up and why the community itself sort of thinks what Steven said. We're stuck on what Steven said. Like I said at the beginning, academic non-attribution. I don't think Margaret's doing a bad job. I don't think Toast is doing a bad job. I don't think Steven's doing a bad job. I think there have been bad plays. I think there's been bad calls. I think there's been confusing sound bites. But overall, I don't think anybody is doing a bad job. Public relations is difficult. You got to have something to talk about in order to have something to talk about. I know they've been getting body shots with the webpage issues, with some of the things, the way they've worked. I think that the only way that they get better is through community feedback and not rant and rave videos. That's why we got to be factual. We got to have the sound bite. We got to show how a couple of things link together. And that's what I did today. If you guys want to know more, ashes101.com is up and running. Not pretty yet. It's in alpha, and I'm putting it through Agile. If you guys want to talk, I'm Jalan #0001 on the Ashes Discord. I'm Jalan #0001 everywhere. If you want to talk while I'm live, I stream 3 times a week. Doesn't matter what game I'm talking about. If you got an Ashes question, pop on in and ask. And as always, big thank you to my sponsors. There's a link in the description below. I'm giving away gift cards. If you want a shot at a gift card, just go in, click, register, enter. But I couldn't do it without those guys. Anyway, I got to get this done. I got to get this cut and put out to you. You guys have a good weekend. And yeah. I will see you when either Steven drops another bombshell or we get more stuff to talk about. Take care. Hey, where are you going? You're not done yet. See these videos? This video's up here to watch. You gotta go over here. Hit the chibi. Subscribe to the channel. Check out the webpage. And I'll see you guys on Twitch.